Folks, I'm going to tell you about something that really ticks me off every time I come across it because it's flat out malpractice. It's flat out malpractice. Let's step back for a second and I'll explain my history a little bit. So, for 25 years, I've been doing this, and I have just as much experience on the securities and investment side of things as I do on the insurance side of things. Of course, I'm a CFP, a CLU, a CHFC. I'm an investment advisor as well. I manage my own clients' money and all that. So, I have both dogs in this hunt, so to speak. But here's what happened recently is a consumer took an awesome annuity recommendation that I gave that consumer that was worth multi-millions of dollars, $1 million in an annuity that's going to generate $130,000 for both of their lives into perpetuity for as long as both of them live. They took the recommendation, they showed that to I don't know if it's a stockbroker or an actual investment advisor like myself, but showed it to somebody that probably does not have the experience that I do. And what does that, let's call him a stockbroker, what does that stockbroker say? What he says is, wow, the internal rate of return on this cash flow over both of your lives is, and he lied, or he doesn't know how to use a financial calculator, is only like 3% or something like that, when it's actually like 6 to 6.5%, but I digress. So he says this, and then what do you think he points to with his stocks and bonds? He points to the stuff that you and I all know about. Well, but this portfolio over here can give you much more retirement income because large cap stocks since 1926 have done 10%, small cap stocks 12%. He didn't say all this stuff, but I'm just kind of narrating probably how the conversation went. So how is it that you're only accepting this internal rate of return on your cash flow of whatever he said, 3%, which is actually 6 to 6.5%? And this is my pet peeve here. That is malpractice because what he's not talking about is, yes, we all know that over the long run, the stock market has averaged 10% since basically the beginning of time, but it doesn't go up the same amount every single time. If it did, then a client's safe withdrawal rate would be 10%. Doesn't take an actuary to figure that out, but it doesn't. And as a result of that, you have withdrawal rules of thumb because of this sequence of returns risk, withdrawal rules of thumb that are, say, 4% or even more accurate today. I would argue 4% is pretty accurate today. But once upon a time, 2.8% when interest rates were really low. And let me ask another question, which is what I would ask this advisor. I'm using the same system that financial advisors use because I am a financial advisor. I'm plugging in my 6.5% internal rate of return annuity into the Monte Carlo simulations as well, not just stocks and bonds. So let me ask you a question. How is it possible if you take a Monte Carlo simulation with 100% stocks and bonds, let's say, and those stocks are indeed programmed to do whatever, 10% over the long run, that Monte Carlo simulation spits out a certain amount of income that the client can take during their retirement years over a 30-year period of time. And let's say it's whatever, $200,000, a big portfolio, obviously. Then what happens if I take from their few $1 million portfolio, say $1 million, and put it into an annuity that's not going to give them 10% per year, 9% per year, not even 8% per year, but a cash flow internal rate of return of 6.5%. Again, not 9, not 10, not 11. So with a chunk of their money, I'm reallocating basically to, let's just say, a lower internal rate of return product. Well, then how on earth is it that I'm able to show my Monte Carlo analysis as providing a much larger level of income, say $220,000 per year adjusted for inflation out in the future, than what that person's did who had all the pie in the sky stuff, 10%, 11%, whatever? How is it that my Monte Carlo simulation is better? And I would argue more in line with reality, or more in line with what the clients want to be their reality, right? Why is that? It's because with that $1 million, we don't have that sequence of returns risk. It's a smooth cash flow. It's a smooth cash flow, and it also takes the pressure off of the rest of the portfolio to sell when the rest of that portfolio is down, because a good chunk of their income will come from this. So to the investment advisors out there that like to quote this 9%, this 10%, this 12%, yes, that's good when you're accumulating assets, but when you're taking money out, The clients need to be aware of this thing called sequence of returns risk, and that is what annuities with guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefits hedge very, very well.